Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Brown. I'm the director of Tallmadge Jurors, but I have a couple of announcements to make before the show starts. So number one is please turn off all electronic devices, and there will be no flash photography or videoing of the show, okay? Restrooms are located when you go out through the doors, go down towards the rotunda, and they're located off to your right. We will be selling refreshments at intermission, and there will be an intermission. However, please don't bring food or drink into the theater. The only thing that is allowed in the theater is wine, okay? So, the show, as you read my director's notes, is all about courage, what it takes to stand when everybody else is against you, and stand for what you believe. And I hope you get this from the show. They've worked long and hard, both cast and crew, to put this on for you. So hopefully you will enjoy it. After the show, you can meet the cast back in the rotunda. So without further ado, one more thing. Dynamics is a nonprofit community theater run by a volunteer board of directors, and all actors and cast and crew of our shows are volunteers. We are supported entirely by our ticket sales. Now, enjoy the show.
Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You have heard a long and complex case, and it is now your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fanciful. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a grave responsibility. Thank you. The jury will retire.
I know lots of things. I'm an advertiser.
You know something? It's hot.
I never would have known that if you hadn't told me. How about you?
I guess not. I kind of forgotten.
All I've done all day is sweat.
Yeah, I bet you aren't sweating like that kid who was tried.
They could at least turn on the air conditioning. I almost dropped dead in court.
Whoa, 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 whoa. My taxes are high enough.
This'll be fast anyways.
It's hot. Okay. Everybody's here. If you need... I'll be right inside. Just knock.
Hey, did he lock that door?
Yes, you did.
What do they think we are, crooks?
They locked us up just for a little while.
Yeah, and then they lock that kid up forever, and that's okay by me.
I never knew they did that.
Oh, sure they locked the door. What do you think?
I don't know. Why would I even know that?
Should we all admit right now that it is hot, humid, and that our tempers are short?
It's been a pretty hard week.
I feel just fine.
I wonder what's been going on down at the office. You know how it is in advertising. In 6 days, my job is gone. The whole company, too. They aren't going to like this.
Well, figure this is our duty.
I didn't object to doing my duty. I just mentioned I may not have a job by the time I get back.
Hey, ask her to hire you. I mean, look at that suit. She's rich.
Is it custom tailored?
Yes, it is.
I have an uncle who's a tailor.
How does he do?
Not too well. You know, a friend of his, that's a friend of my uncle's. He wanted to be on this jury like this.
Why didn't you let him? I would have done anything to miss this.
Did they caught or something? You know the type of fine you
I've been talking for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind. Well, just what are you thinking of?
I want to talk for a while. Look, this kid's been kicked around all his life. Living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock them over the head once a day, every day. That's why. I just think we owe him a few words, that's all.
All right. It's hard. Sure, it was hard for me. Everything that I got, I worked for. I worked my way through college. That was a long time ago, but perhaps you do forget. I fought, yes, but I never killed.
Yeah, I know what it's like, but I never killed nobody.
Hey, I've been kicked around too. When you work in an ad agency and the big boys who buy the advertising walk in. We all know.
In my country, in India, kicking around was a science, but let's find better evidence than that, no?
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe the kid a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know how much those trials cost? He's lucky he got one. Look, we're all grown-ups here. You don't expect us to believe his story, knowing what he is. You know, I've grown up around them all of my life. You can't trust a word that they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a person to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? What gives you a monopoly on the truth?
All right,
Excuse me?
it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this woman says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to behave like adults.
Right.
Oh, all right, if you insist.
Thank you.
Sure.
If we're going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
I'd like that idea. We have a job to do here, so let's do it.
If you don't mind, I'm going to close the window.
What?
If you don't mind, I'd like the window open.
But it's blowing on my neck.
Don't you want a little air? It's summer. It's
Very
hot.
uncomfortable.
There are 12 of us and only one window, if you don't mind.
I also have some rights.
So do the rest of us.
Couldn't you trade chairs with someone at the other end of the table?
All right. I'll keep the window open if someone would trade with me.
Take my chair.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you too.
Can we get back to the case?
Yeah, let's get going here.
Hey, I may have an idea here. I'm just talking out loud, but it seems to me that it's our job to convince this gentleman here that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each talk for a minute or two, try it out for size.
That's fair enough.
Very fair.
Okay, let's start it off.
All right. Suppose we just go once around the table. We'll start with you.
Oh, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious.
In what way was it obvious?
I mean that nobody proved otherwise?
Well, nobody else has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant never has to open his mouth. It's in the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment. You've heard it.
Everyone has.
Well, of course I've heard of it. What I meant to say is, what I meant to say, I just think he's guilty, okay?
That's it. No reasons, just guilty. There's a man's life at stake here.
Okay, let's get to the facts. I mean, number one, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor, right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. Said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard a body falling, and he ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner did fix the time of death at around midnight.
Right. Now what else do you want?
Well, it just doesn't seem to fit.
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. That's a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what picture he saw.
The kid didn't have any tickets though.
Well, who keeps a ticket stub from the movies?
That's true enough.
I mean, I guess, but the cashier didn't even remember him.
Yeah, the ticket taker didn't eat.
Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony doesn't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right, she saw the killing, didn't she?
Yes.
Let's stay in order.
Just a minute. Now let's take this woman. She can't sleep. It's hot, you know, so she gets up, looks across the street, out her window, and she sees the boy stab his father, stick the knife through his chest.
How can she be really sure it was the kid when she saw through the windows of a passing elevated train?
She's known the boy all of his life. Her window is opposite his, and she swore that she saw him do it.
I think I heard her swear to it.
All right. Well, then they also proved in court that you can see through the windows of the passing L train at night. You can see what is going on across the street. They proved that in court. Yes.
Weren't you just telling us a minute or two ago that you can't trust them? That you can't believe them?
So?
Well, then I'd like to ask you something. How come you believed her? She's one of them too, isn't she?
Hey, you're
Sit down!
Jesus.
What do you let them get you all upset for?
Relax.
They did take us to the woman's room, and we looked through the windows of a passing L train, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And weren't you able to see what happened on the other side?
I didn't see as well as they told me I'd see, but I did see what happened on the other side.
You see. Do you see?
Okay, let's calm down now. All right, sir, at the end of the table.
I'll pass it.
That's your privilege. The gentleman next to him.
Well, I don't know. I guess I started to be convinced from the from the testimony from the people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy sometime around, what, 7 o'clock? I could be wrong.
It's 8 o'clock, not 7 o'clock.
That's right, 8 o'clock.
Right.
They heard the father hit the boy twice, and then saw the boy walk angrily out of the house.
Right.
Well, what does that prove?
Well, I didn't say it proved anything. It's just, part of the whole picture, that we have to, well, it doesn't prove, I didn't say it proved anything.
Is there anything else?
No.
I don't know. Most of it's been said already. We could sit here and talk about this all day, but we'd just be wasting our time.
I don't think so.
Neither do I. Go on.
Look at the kid's record. He stole a car. He was arrested for mugging. I think they even said he stabbed somebody in the arm.
They did.
He was picked up for knife fighting. At 15, he was in reform school.
Yeah, and they sent him to reform school for stabbing someone.
This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He used his fists.
So would I on a kid like that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's the kids. The way they are, I mean, they don't listen. I've got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed of him. Cute. Well, I told him right out, I'm going to make a man out of you, or I'm going to bust you up into little pieces trying. When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, I haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotten kid. I hate tough kids. You work your life out. All right, let's get going.
We're missing the point here. This kid, let's say he's the product of a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why the slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know, and so do you. Children who come from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
You said it there. I don't want any part of them, believe me.
You know, I lived in the slums my entire life.
Now, just a minute.
No, I used to play in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Shit, maybe it still smells on me.
All right, let's be reasonable. There was nothing personal.
Man, there is something personal.
Come on now, he didn't mean you, fella. Just, let's not be so sensitive.
Who did she mean?
I also understand the sensitivity.
Can we just stop the bickering?
Hey, we're wasting time.
Okay. Your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. Too many questions were left unasked.
Well, it doesn't change my opinion about the guilt of the boy. I agree with you. The defense was bad.
So,
This is a point.
what about facts?
Too many questions were left unanswered.
What about the questions that were answered? I mean, for instance, let's talk about that cute little switch knife. You know, the one that fine, upright kid admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's bring it in here and we'll look at it again. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
We all know what it looks like. I don't see why we have to look at it again. I mean, what do you think?
The gentleman has the right to see exhibits and evidence.
Okay with me.
This knife, it's a pretty strong piece of evidence, don't you agree?
I do.
Now let's get the sequence of events right as they relate to this switch knife.
The boy admits leaving his house at 8 o'clock after being slapped by his father.
Or punched.
Or punched. He went to a neighborhood store and bought the switch knife. The storekeeper was arrested the following day when he admitted selling it to the boy.
I mean, I think everyone agrees it's a pretty unusual knife. Pretty hard to forget something like that.
The storekeeper identified the knife and said it was the only one of its kind he had in stock. Now, why did the boy get it?
As a present for his friend, he says.
Am I right so far?
Right?
Yeah, you bet she's right. Now listen to this lady, she knows what she's talking about.
And next, the boy claims that on his way home, the knife must have fallen through a hole in his coat pocket. Now there's a story. You know what actually happened. He took the knife home, and a few hours later, stabbed his father with it. He even remembered to wipe the knife with fingerprints. Everyone connected with the case identified this knife. Are you trying to tell me that someone picked it up off the street, took it up to the boy's house, and stabbed his father with it just to be amusing?
No. I'm saying that it's possible that the boy lost the knife and that someone else stabbed his father with a similar knife. It's possible.
Take a look at this knife. It's a very strange knife. I've never seen one like it before in my life, and neither had the shopkeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you trying to make us accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not trying to have anyone accept anything. I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, and I'm saying it's not possible.
What?
Hey, what are you trying to do?
What are you doing? Are you insane?
Look at it, the same knife.
Just calm down, everybody. Calm down.
Where did you get it?
I got it from a little junk shop around the corner from the boy's house. It cost $2.
Now listen to me.
I'm listening.
You pulled a real smart trick here, but you proved absolutely zero. Maybe there are 10 knives like that. So what?
Maybe there are.
The boy lied and you know it.
And maybe he didn't lie. Maybe he did lose the knife, and maybe he went to the movies. Maybe the reason the cashier didn't see him is because he snuck into the movies and was too ashamed to admit it. How many of us have snuck into the movies once or twice when we were young?
I didn't.
Really? Not even once?
We didn't have movies when I was young.
Oh.
Maybe the boy went to the movies, maybe he didn't. Maybe he lied. Do you think he lied?
That is a stupid question. Of course he lied.
Do you think he lied?
You don't have to ask me that. You know my answer.
Do
He
you?
lied.
I don't know.
Now, wait a second. Wait a second. What are you, this kid's lawyer? There are still 11 of us who think he's guilty. You're alone. You can be stubborn and hang this jury, but he'll just be tried again and found guilty, sure as the day he was born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do about it? We could be here all night.
Oh, for goodness gracious, it's only one night.
Oh,
A man may die. Yes, that's
come
true.
on.
Can we get back to the case?
Yeah, right, let's get going here.
How do you like this guy?
Well, you're the one holding up the show. What do you say?
Obviously, you don't think that the boy is guilty.
I have a doubt in my mind.
But you haven't really presented anything to us to make it possible for us to understand your doubt. There's the old man downstairs. He heard it. He heard the boy shriek it out.
The woman across the L track, she saw it.
He bought a switch knife that night, and we don't really know where he was. At the movies.
Earlier in the night, the kid and his father did get in a fight.
He's been a violent kid all the way, and while that doesn't prove anything.
All right. I've got a proposition to make. I want to call for another vote. I want you 11 to vote by secret ballot. I'll abstain. If there are still 11 votes for guilty, I will stand alone. We'll take a guilty verdict into the judge right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Shoot, better roll.
Perhaps this is the best.
All right, come on. We're not working on our memoirs here. Let's go.
Right.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
That's 6.
Please, please. That's 6 guilty. 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 Not guilty. Guilty.
What do you know about that? All right, who was it? I think we have a right to know.
All right, who did it? What idiot changed his car?
Excuse me?
Is that a way to talk about a man's life? Whose life are you talking about? The life of the dead man or the life of a murderer?
Who was it? I want to know.
Excuse me, this was a secret ballot.
And no one looked while we did it, but now I want to know.
This was a secret ballot, right? On this part, we all agreed. If whomsoever voted wants it to remain secret, then it should remain a secret.
What are you talking about? There are no secrets in here. I know who it was. What's the matter with you? I mean, you come in here and you vote guilty, and then this slick preacher starts to tear your heart out with stories about a poor little kid who just couldn't help becoming a murderer. So you change your vote. If that isn't the most sick...
Now hold it!
I agree with you that the boy is guilty, but let's be fair.
Hold it? Be fair? That's just what I'm saying. We're trying to put a guilty man into the chair where he belongs. And all of a sudden we're listening to fairy tales.
Now, just a minute.
Now you listen to
Let's
me.
keep this organized!
It isn't organized, but let's be
I
civilized.
would like to say something here. I have always thought that in this great country, a man was entitled to have an unpopular opinion. That's the whole reason I came here. I came here for the right to disagree.
Do you disagree with us?
Usually I would, in this one case, I agree with you. But the point I'm trying to make is that in my own country, I would be ashamed to disagree.
Oh, now we have to listen to the entire history of your country.
It's always wise to bear in mind what happens in other countries where people aren't allowed to disagree. But we are, so let's stick to the subject.
Yeah, let's stick to the subject. I want to know why you changed your vote.
Yeah, I want to know too. You haven't told us yet.
What makes you think I changed my vote?
Because I do. Now get on with it.
There's nothing for him to tell you. He didn't change his vote. I changed mine.
You know, I was going to tell you, but you're just so sure of yourself.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, now.
Maybe you'd like to know why.
Hey, let me tell you
Let
why
the
that.
man talk.
Thank you. This gentleman chose to stand alone against all of us. That's his right. It takes a great deal of courage to stand alone, even if you believe in something a great deal. He left the verdict up to us. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I want to hear more. The vote is 10-2.
Well, that's all well and good. Now, if the speech is over, let's get on with it.
If there was anything in the kid's favor, I would vote not guilty.
I don't see what it is.
Neither do I. They're clutching at straws.
As guilty as they get, that's the kid, I suppose.
It's that one juror that's holding out. But he'll come around eventually. He's got to. Fundamentally, he's a very reasonable man.
I guess so.
You know, they haven't come up with one real fact yet to back up a not guilty verdict.
It's hard, you know?
Yes, it is. And what does guilty beyond a reasonable doubt really mean?
What's a reasonable doubt?
Exactly. When a life is at stake, what is a reasonable doubt? You've got to have law and order. You've got to draw the line somewhere. If you don't, everyone would start knifing.
There's not much doubt here.
Two men think so. I wonder why. I really wonder why.
Well, you do hear stories about innocent men that go to jail or death sometimes, and then years later, things turn up.
And then on the other hand, sometimes killers get turned loose. They squeeze out on some technicality and do it again.
Hey, look, buddy, you know, I was a little excited a minute ago. I know how it is. I didn't mean to get nasty. Nothing personal.
Okay.
Supposing you answer me this. If the kid didn't do it, then who did?
Well, as far as I know, we are to decide whether the boy on trial is guilty. We're not concerned with anyone else's motives here.
I suppose, but who else had motive?
Well, I don't know. The old man was along in years, maybe an old grudge.
Remember, it is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Everyone's a lawyer. So supposing you tell us what your reasonable doubts are.
Well, it's not very easy. So far, it's only, what's a feeling I have? A feeling. Maybe you don't understand.
No, I don't.
A feeling? So what are we supposed to do? Talk about your feelings for the next few hours? What about the facts?
Oh, you said a mouthful. Now look, the old man heard the kid yell, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard the father's body falling. And then he saw the boy running out of the house 15 seconds after that.
Where's the reasonable doubt in that?
That's right. And let's not forget about the woman across the street. She looked through the open window and saw the boy stab his father. She saw it.
Now, if that's not enough for you,
It's not enough for me.
What is enough for you? I'd like to know.
I can't believe this guy is like talking to a dead phone.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a moving elevated train. The train had 5 cars, and she saw it through the windows of the last 2 cars. She remembers the most insignificant details.
well, what have you got to say about that?
I'm sorry, it just doesn't sound right to me.
So, supposing you think about it. Hey, lend me your pencil there. Let's play some tic-tac-toe. Might as well pass the time.
take it easy.
I've got a good mind to walk around this table and bounce it
Oh,
on.
please! I don't want any fights.
Did you see him? The nerve! The absolute nerve!
All right, enough. Mean anything.
This isn't a game. Who does he think he is?
Weren't we talking about elevated trains?
Yes, we were.
So?
All right. How long does it take an elevated train going at top speed to pass a given point?
What has that got to do with anything?
How long would it take? Guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
I don't think they ever mentioned it in court.
Well, what do you think?
10 to 12 seconds, maybe?
All right. I'd say that's a fair guess. Anyone else?
10 seconds, perhaps.
Yeah, about 10 seconds, yeah.
All right, we're agreed. 10 seconds. What are you getting at?
This. An L train passes a given point in 10 seconds. That given point is the window of the room in which the killing took place. You could almost reach out of the window and touch the train as it goes by, right?
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
So?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me ask you this. Did any of you ever live next to the L tracks?
I did.
And they make a lot of noise, don't they?
Oh, yes, they do.
I used to live next to the L tracks. And boy, when your window is open and a train goes by, the noise is almost unbearable. You can't hear yourself think.
All right, so you can't hear yourself think. Get to the point.
All right. The old man who lived downstairs heard the boy say,
He didn't say it. He screamed it.
the old man heard the boy scream, "I'm going to kill you." And then 1 second later, he heard a body fall. 1 second. That's the testimony, right?
Right.
The woman across the street looked through the windows of the last two cars of the L train and saw the body fall, right?
Right.
So, the last two cars. The last two cars.
What are you getting at?
An L train passes a given point in 10 seconds, or 2 seconds per car. The L had been going by the old man's window for at least 6 seconds, and maybe longer, before the body fell, according to the woman. The old man would have had to hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," just as the nose of the train was passing right by his window. It is impossible that he could have heard it.
What do you mean? I mean, sure he could have heard it.
With an L train going by,
He said the boy yelled it out.
an L train makes a lot of noise.
It's enough for me.
It's enough for me, too.
I don't think he could have heard it.
I mean, maybe the old man didn't hear it. I mean, with the L noise.
What are you people talking about? Are you calling the old man a liar?
Something just doesn't fit.
That stands to reason they didn't hear it.
Oh, you're crazy. Why would he have lied? What's he got to gain?
Attention? Maybe?
Oh, dear God. You keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one into a newspaper? They pay $20.
Now, what does that have to do with a man's life? Please, why would the old man have lied? You have a right to be heard.
Well, it's just that I looked at him for a very long time during the trial. The seam of his jacket was ripped under his arm. Did you notice that? Did you notice that? He was a very old man with a torn coat. He carried 2 canes. I think I know this man better than anyone else in this room. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has never had any recognition. He's never been anywhere or done anything. He's never had his name in the newspaper. After 75 years, nobody knows who he is. This is a very sad thing. A man like this, he needs to be recognized. He needs to be quoted and listened to, and this is very important.
Wait, hey, so you're trying to tell us that he lied about a thing like this just so he could be important?
No, he didn't lie. Well, not exactly. But perhaps he convinced himself that he heard those words and that he recognized the boy's face.
Well, that's the most fantastic story I've ever heard. How can you make up a thing like that?
I am not making it up.
You must be making it up. People don't lie about things like that.
He convinced himself he told the truth.
What do you know about it?
I speak from experience.
What?
I'm the very same man.
I think we understand now. Thank you.
If you want to admit you're a liar, that's all right by me.
Oh, now that is too much.
He's a liar. He just told us
He
so.
did not say he was a liar. He was explaining.
Can you admit that you're a liar?
Please. He was explaining why the old man might have lied so that we could understand. There's a difference.
A liar is a liar. That's all there is to it.
Please, have some compassion.
Gentlemen, enough. We have a job, a duty here.
I think they've covered it.
I hope we have.
Does anyone have anything else to say?
Cough drop?
No, thank you.
Anybody want a cough drop? No?
I'll take one.
Great.
Can we get on with it?
Thank you. All right, now there's something else I'd like to point out here, right? I think we've established that the old man could not have heard the boy say, "I'm going to kill you."
Well, I disagree.
Let's hear him through anyway.
But supposing the old man did hear the boy say, "I'm going to kill you," this phrase, how many times has each of us used it? Probably hundreds. Junior, if you do that one more time, I'm going to murder you. Come on, Rocky, kill him. We say it every day. It doesn't mean we're actually going to kill somebody.
Don't the circumstances alter that somewhat?
The old man was murdered. And one thing more, the phrase was, "I'm going to kill you." And the boy shouted it out at the top of his lungs.
That's the way I understand it.
Now, don't try and tell me he didn't mean it. Anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they mean it.
And oh, how they mean it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you really think the...
He said he went. I remember it now. He went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Where was the old man's bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere.
Down the hall somewhere. Are we to send a boy off to die because it's down the hall somewhere?
Well, I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
I don't remember it either.
Mr. Foreman, I'd like to take a look at the diagram of the apartment.
Why don't we just have them run the whole trial over again, just so you can get everything straight?
The bedroom is down the hall somewhere. Do you know where it is? Do you know exactly where it is? Please, a man's life's at stake. Do you know?
Well,
Mr. Foreman!
I heard you.
All right, why do we need to take a look at this one now? How come you're the only one who wants to see exhibits all the time?
No, I want to see this one too.
I would too.
And I'd like to stop wasting time.
oh, geez, take the wheel.
Are we going to start wading through all that nonsense about where the body was found again?
No, we're not. We're going to see how a man who's had 2 strokes in the past 3 years and who walks with a pair of canes can get to his bedroom door in 15 seconds.
He said 20 seconds.
He said 15. He was very positive about the time.
How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that sort of thing.
He said it was 15 seconds.
He's an old man. You saw that. Half the time he was confused. How can he be positive about anything? You know.
Well, no, I don't know. Maybe you know.
Yes, thank you.
Wake me when this is over.
I've looked at that diagram for 2 hours. Enough is enough.
Some of us are interested. Go ahead.
Thanks. All right. This is the the apartment which the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the L tracks, and here's the bedroom, and another bedroom, living room, kitchen, bathroom, and here is the hall. Here's the front door of the apartment, and here are the steps. Now, the old man was in bed in this room. He says he got up, went out into the hall, down the hall to the front door, and opened it, and looked out just in time to see a body fall. Am I right? Yep. Yeah. All right. That's the story. Now, 15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
Now, his bed was at this window. It's 12 feet from his bed to the bedroom door. The length of the hall is 43 feet, 6 inches. He had to get up, get out of bed, get his cables, walk 15 feet, go to the bedroom door, walk 43 feet, and open the door all in 15 seconds. Do you think this is possible?
You know it's possible.
I don't see why not.
He would have been in a hurry if he didn't hear the scream.
But he can walk very slowly only. They had to help him onto the witness stand.
What are you doing?
Now, I want to try this thing. Let's see how long it took. I'm going to pace off 12 feet the length of the bedroom.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Let him try.
This is an important point.
It's a ridiculous waste of time.
I can't see the arm in it.
Oh, here, let me use this chair. All right. Let's say this is the bedroom door, all right? How far would you say it is from here to the opposite end of the room?
Well, I'd say it's probably about, what, 20 feet?
I think it's
20 feet?
Yeah. All right, 20 feet's a good guess. So the distance between this point and there and back is about 40 feet, right? Right. That's more than the distance the old man had traveled down the hall, right?
Right. Give or take a few feet.
All right.
All right, this is insane. What makes you think you can do this?
Do you mind if I try it? According to you, it'll only take 15 seconds. We can spare that.
Oh, fine.
Who's going to watch with a second hand?
I have.
All right. When you want me to start, stomp your foot. That'll simulate the body falling.
We'll time you from there.
All right. Let's say he keeps his canes at his bedside, right?
Right.
All right. I'm ready.
I'm waiting for the big hand to get to 60. Oh, God. Go. Oh, come on, speed it up. He moves faster than that in court.
If you think I should go faster, I will.
Speed it up a little.
My mom moves faster than that.
Stop.
Right.
What's the time?
15, 20, 30, 35, 39 seconds exactly.
No, they can't do it.
39 seconds.
Now that's interesting.
39 seconds.
Now you know. And the old cripple swore on his oath that it was 15.
I mean, he may have been a little bit off on the speed by a difference of 24 seconds.
Far be it for me to call anybody a liar, but even with the difference of speed between yourself and the old man, why, there's still just quite
Quite a discrepancy.
It's my guess that the old man tried to get to the door and heard someone race down the stairs and assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible.
Assumed? Oh, now listen to me, people. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty in my day, but this little display takes the cake.
What dishonesty?
Tell him. I mean, you come in here with your heart bleeding all over the floor about slum kids and injustice, and you make up these wild stories, and you got some soft-hearted old ladies listening to you. Well, I'm not. I'm getting real sick of you. What's the matter with you people? This kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers. this executioner? I'm one of them. Perhaps you'd like to pull the switch. Oh, for this kid, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
Oh, I feel sorry for you.
Don't start with me.
What it must feel like to want to pull the switch.
Shut up! You're a sadist!
Shut up!
You want to see this boy die because you personally want him, not because of the facts. You're a beast! You disgust me!
What?
Shut up! Stop! Let me go! I'll kill him! I'll kill him! You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you?